Good morning. Welcome to the celebration of our Alumni Medallion and Service Awards. My name is Matt Brandon, class of 1992, and I am the Chief Executive Officer of your William and Mary Alumni Association. Thank you again. I am delighted to be with you this morning for this critically important ceremony. First, I'd like to thank the association's terrific board of directors for hosting this event. Our board members are volunteer leaders, and much like the awardees we are honoring today, they are dedicated to advancing the university and our alums. I would also like to thank our students and the members of the William and Mary Choir, along with their director, Daniel Parks. And thank you for the applause to appreciate you all sharing your beautiful gifts of voice with us today. Charter Day weekend and the university's 330th birthday are off to a great start. Yesterday's ceremony was a moving reminder of the traditions and history of this extraordinary university. I hope everyone had an opportunity also to attend the dedication of the Bray School. It was a meaningful remembrance of the Black children, enslaved and free, who were educated there on the eve of the American Revolution. Let's please give a big round of applause to everyone who made this weekend's events possible. Thank you. I'd like to express our heartfelt thanks to President Rowe and to Bruce for being here. I'd also like to welcome members of our Board of Visitors who are joining us. Thank you. Welcome. Today, we continue our proud tradition of honoring those who have demonstrated extraordinary service and support of Alma Mater. We are excited to present this year's Alumni Medallions, the Douglas N. Morton 62 Alumni Service Awards, and our Staff Service and Coach of the Year Awards. Service is one of our university's cherished values, and everything we do is made possible by the dedicated efforts of those who love William and Mary and believe in our mission. I want to say thank you to all of our honorees. We deeply appreciate your dedication, enthusiasm, and commitment. I also extend a special welcome this morning, to the colleagues, friends, and family members who are here. Your attendance adds to our celebration and is especially meaningful and rewarding to the honorees. Thank you all for joining us. Now, I am pleased to introduce Robert M. Gates, a member of the class of 1965, statesman, author, recipient of the Alumni Medallion, and the university's chancellor. I can't do this, Chancellor Gates. Can't call you Bob, sorry.
Thank you, Matt, and welcome home. By all accounts, you've seized the reins and are moving forward at a great rate, so we're very happy to have you where you are. This is the 11th Alumni Medallion ceremony that I've attended, now 10 as chancellor and 1 as a recipient in 2000, a long time ago. As I've said, William and Mary, this community of listening, learning, and working through issues rooted in the original soil and the basic principles of American liberty has a special role and a special obligation to be a part of making solutions. It's heartening each year to find more and more solution finders who call William & Mary home. Since 1934, the association has awarded 317 alumni medallions, recognizing some of the most distinguished graduates in our history. Today, we add 4 more to that number. Among the distinctions of the Alumni Medal, by the way, it's one of the few William & Mary honors Thomas Jefferson never received. Take that, UVA. To Cindy, Barb, Stu, and Tom, well done and well deserved.
Thank you, Chancellor Gates. My name is Anna Dinwiddie Hatfield, class of 1996, and as president of the William & Mary Alumni Association, it is my privilege and pleasure to be here with you. These awards are given annually to recognize individuals for their exceptional service to the Alumni Association and the university through their efforts to connect and engage alumni. The individuals being recognized this morning have gone above and beyond in their commitment to ensuring their fellow alumni maintain these strong connections to alma mater. Alumni engagement is essential to the life of the university, and as these honorees can attest, immensely fulfilling in the lives of those who serve. Their contributions extend beyond our alumni community as well. Through their service, accomplishments, and philanthropy, our award recipients make a real difference for all in the William & Mary community, including our alumni, students, faculty and staff, parents, and friends. And as we continue to expand William & Mary's impact on our world as part of Vision 2026, these alumni are stellar examples of how a William & Mary education can create opportunity to apply our graduates' deep commitment and extraordinary intellect to make a difference in our rapidly changing world. We will begin our ceremony with the Douglas N. Morton 62 Alumni and Young Alumni Service Awards. These awards are named in honor of Doug Morton, class of 1962, to remember his contributions to the university for all time coming. Doug was one of William & Mary's most accomplished and distinguished alumni and an extraordinarily generous and caring human being. He was a quintessential volunteer leader who served alma mater with great distinction in myriad ways for more than 30 years. And our award winners continue his legacy of service and dedication to William & Mary. Let's start with the Douglas N. Morton Young Alumni Service Awards. Though these recipients are within 10 years of their graduation, they have already accomplished so much. If you'd like to read more about each of the recipients, please see the Fall 2022 edition of the Alumni Magazine and their profiles in your program today. Perhaps some of the awardees we honor this morning will go on to be Alumni Medallion recipients in the future. Our first recipient is Catherine Covino, class of 2012. Catherine served on the DC Metro Network beginning in 2015, including as its treasurer and president. She oversaw well-received events, including the evening at the Italian Embassy in 2019. As senior manager at Deloitte, Catherine shared her experience as an alumna and professional as a panelist for the Welcome to the City, Welcome to the Real World events for young alumni, covering topics from navigating your first job to saving and budgeting. Catherine serves on the steering committee of the Society of 1918, a group committed to growing the engagement, leadership, and philanthropy of William & Mary women. She also serves on the Society's philanthropy committee. As a student, Catherine was a member of the Order of Omega, an organization that recognizes outstanding members of the fraternity and sorority community in the areas of scholarship, leadership, and service to the university and their community. Catherine, will you please come to the stage? You can listen. Our next Young Alumni Service Award recipient is Talia Hernandez, class of 2018. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here with us today, but her dear friend and fellow alum, Johanse Whitaker, class of 2016, will accept her award. As a student at William & Mary, Talia served as the co-president of Lambda Alliance, the LGBTQ+ student organization on campus. She was also a member of Voices for Planned Parenthood, the Student Environmental Action Coalition, and the Latin American Student Union. After graduation, Talia joined the leadership circles for the Crim Del Association, which represents LGBTQ+ alumni, and Latinx alumni, advocating for her intersecting identities. She takes the time to share her thoughtful feedback with William & Mary, staff and fellow alumni, and attend in-person and virtual events. Talia championed the renaming of the LGBTQ+ alumni to the Crim Del Association and was critical to adding gender, sexuality, and pronoun designations to the alumni database. Johanse, will you please come and accept Talia's award? We will now continue with the Douglas and Morton 62 Alumni Service Awards. Tonight's first recipient is Karen Burnett, class of 1972. Unfortunately, she couldn't be with us this morning, but we will still honor her. Karen has been on the leadership team for the Charleston Network since 2007. She served as president from 2009 to 10, and again from 2015 to the present. She hosts events for alumni in the area and coordinates with members of the network to host fun and successful events in private homes. She works to connect alumni with each other, reaching out to new residents to help them feel welcomed in the community. She sets the tone for the network's passionate and engaged leadership team. She says one of the best things about being a volunteer leader for more than 20 years is the close friendships she's developed with so many alumni and friends across the Lowcountry. At William & Mary, Karen was a member of Circle K International, an organization that provides service opportunities for students within their college communities. She was also a member of Phi Beta Kappa, the nation's oldest and most prestigious academic honor society. Congratulations to Karen. Next, we have Jimmy Locke Edmonds, class of 2008, Master of Accounting, class of 2009. At William & Mary, Jimmy was a development ambassador, working to help alumni maintain a strong connection to the university. He also worked with College Partnership for Kids, an organization in which students support James City County Public Schools through classroom assistance, mentoring, and enrichment opportunities. Jimmy is an active board member of the DC Network and actively engages with students through the William & Mary Washington Center. He was the co-chair of the Crim Del Leadership Circle and a member of the inaugural advisory board for the Crim Del Association, playing a critical role in the strategic planning process. He previously served on the For the Bold DC Regional Campaign Committee, contributing to the success of the campaign in this key region. Jimmy, will you please come up to the stage? Next, we have Tamara Walmsley, class of 1980. Tamara has been on the leadership team of the Charlottesville Network since 2017 and has served as the president since 2019. During COVID-19, she developed various virtual and outdoor programs to keep alumni engaged, frequently coordinating with William & Mary's Highland, affectionately referred to as William & Mary West. Tamara also works diligently to ensure the Charlottesville Network supports alumni-owned businesses through recognizing alumni and their businesses at events, partnering with them on programs, and spotlighting them on Facebook. Very active as an athlete when she was a student, Tamara was a member of the women's track team, women's volleyball team, and rugby club. William & Mary is a family affair for her. Her husband Cooper is a member of the class of 1981, as are his siblings. Her son Jake is class of 2006, and her son Nick is class of 2011. Tamara, will you please come up on stage?
This is my first time doing this. Give me a moment. Thank you and congratulations to all of our Douglas N. Morton Alumni Service Award winners. Let's give them one more round of applause. Class of 2040 is leaving the room. You all are very encouraging. We now move on to the Coach of the Year Award. This was established in 1996 to recognize exceptional coaches at the university. In addition to their successes in competition, the award also seeks to honor coaches who mentor and motivate their athletes. The winners of the award receive an honorarium as well as the Coach of the Year, Crystal Voss. Our recipient this year is Coach Forrest Braden. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here with us this morning, but Steve Huebner, class of 1976, will accept the award in his stead. Steve is a member of the Board of Visitors who previously volunteered for the cross-country program as their life skills coach. I will tell you, in talking to Steve, he's a lot more than a life skills coach for that team. So thank you, Steve. We also appreciate you helping to honor Forrest. Coach Braden has led the tribe to new records as head cross-country coach. He has the university's visibility on the national stage and represented the core university value of excellence. Forrest has been at the university since the 2017-2018 season and has taken the men's cross-country team to the CAA championship every year since. In the 2021 championship, William & Mary came in first place, resulting in a 34-year streak of finishing either first or second in the league meet. The tribe now holds 28 championship titles. Forrest has won 5 CAA Coach of the Year awards, becoming the first person in CAA history to win the award for both men's and women's cross country. And he pushed the envelope even further by winning them both in the same season. Four of the awards recognize his leadership of the men's team. He is all in for the university's athletics and our student athletes. Steve, will you join us on stage to accept Forrest's award? The Staff Service Award was established by the Board of Directors to recognize and honor those who have demonstrated outstanding service and support to the university and to the Alumni Association. We give this award tonight to recognize someone this morning, to recognize someone who represents the university with distinction and ensures the efforts of the Alumni Association are equal to the outstanding qualities of its alumni. This year's recipient is Lonnie Peace. Lonnie is the head of moving and storage for the facilities team at the university. He brings the university's core value of belonging to campus events by ensuring they feel like a home, or the university feels like a home away from home for our people. When in person, events resumed after after 2 years of largely virtual programming, Lonnie went above and beyond in setting the stage for many widely anticipated events, including the Charter Day ceremony, homecoming and reunion weekend, this award ceremony, the legacy brunch, and graduate reception and various athletic events. Lonnie's outstanding service was also instrumental in the opening of the expanded Alumni House. I hope you visited. As alumni near and far travel to visit the new building, he has been involved in setting up countless events, offering alumni a warm welcome back to campus. During his 32 years at the university, his dedication and cheerful attitude have been steadfast examples of the spirit of the university community. Lonnie, will you join us on stage? Lonnie, I'm pretty sure we worked together when I was a student. Established in 1934, the Alumni Medallion is the highest award of the William and Mary Alumni Association, and it's the highest award alumni can receive. As we recognize today's recipients, we honor their professional accomplishments, service to the community, state, and the nation, as well as exceptional dedication to the university. We have had the privilege of honoring exceptional alumni with this award for over 80 years. Some of our prior recipients have joined us today. I would like to thank them for being here, acknowledge their presence, and ask that they simply raise their hands to be acknowledged. That's legacy, that's tradition, that is William and Mary. I now invite Anna back to the podium to begin the conferral of the medallions.
Thank you, Matt. For 330 years, William and Mary alumni have affected their communities and the world, and they continue to do so every day. The four we honor today as Alumni Medallion recipients are among our university's most dedicated and accomplished alumni. Cindy Jarbo, class of 1977 and parent of an alumna in the class of 2011. Barb Ramsey, member of the class of 1975. You just look like 1983. Stu Sell, class of 1956 and parent to alumni in the classes of 1983, 1987, and 1991. And Tom Watkins, member of the class of 1974 and parent to alumni in the classes of 2005 and 2011. I'm so proud to award these medallions to Cindy, Barb, Stu, and Tom today. They have demonstrated their love of William and Mary and their communities in countless ways. They are active participants in the life of the university, giving of their time, talent, and treasure in their alma mater, and investing in the success of our students, faculty, and fellow alumni. Their creative energy, commitment, and guiding values inspire all of us, and we thank them for their leadership and for helping shape William and Mary. We have prepared video introductions about each of our recipients and their achievements, featuring words from those who know each of them well. We greatly appreciate the efforts of those friends as well as the hard work of those who contributed to making this celebration possible as we honor these exceptional alumni. You can read more about each of these recipients in the winter 2023 issue of the Alumni Magazine and in your program today.
I would describe Cindy as optimistic, achievement-oriented, and with a can-do personality.
Cindy Jarboe is a doer, and she knows how to get things done right. And she goes about in a way that her leadership skills help guide her and those that work with her to success.
Cindy, after finishing William & Mary, became a CPA, working for Coopers & Lybrand, now part of Pricewaterhouse here in Richmond, and very quickly established herself as an expert, an independent financial authority, and worked for a number of businesses in various capacities.
I was already working at Coopers when Cindy joined. By no surprise, Cindy moved quickly through the ranks, and in 1989, she became the first female audit partner in the Atlantic region of the firm. Business leaders across the country sought Cindy's mergers and acquisition skills, and she helped 20 entrepreneurs and business startups successfully raise capital through the initial public offering process.
One hallmark of Cindy's personality is when she sets out a goal, she's gonna achieve that goal. And so whether it's helping on the financial side or with development or actually leading the organization, she's gonna aspire to take these organizations to a higher level.
I think Cindy has found her calling for making a difference in the community. For example, during all these years, Cindy has served as the chair of Virginia Credit Union's committee focusing on underserved communities and Richmond's co-regional chair of the Order of St. John, an international children's eye hospital charitable organization.
She bleeds green and gold.
Well, I think we have in common a love for William & Mary. I think her biggest contribution was the leadership of the Alumni Society during a remarkable building expansion program that was much needed over the years. But she was intimately involved with all the details, including the fundraising. And actually, I was one of those folks that she tapped on. But I think this was a highlight in her involvement with William & Mary because it meant so much to her, but ultimately the finished product means an awful lot to everyone that has attended William & Mary.
I've been personally privileged to serve with Cindy on a number of different initiatives at William & Mary. We were on the Muscarella board together. We were also involved in the William & Mary Business School together. Cindy has a real love for this college and for its leaders and for its purpose, its mission. And I think everything she does in the context of not only helping the college succeed, but also helping everyone else to understand the role and responsibilities they have for making William & Mary an even greater place for the next generation.
Congratulations, Cindy, on receiving this most prestigious award from William & Mary. You are so deserving. And one thing I know for sure, that every organization you have touched, both business, nonprofits, including William & Mary, is better off as a result of your involvement.
You're the most deserving of this prestigious recognition by all the many things you have and will continue to do for the College of William & Mary.
Cindy, clearly this Alumni Medallion Award is recognition of your exemplary achievements and commitment to lifelong servant leadership. Congratulations, Cindy, on this wonderful award.
Honored guests, please welcome 2023 Alumni Medallion recipient Cynthia Satterwhite Jarboe, class of 1977.
Wow, this is totally overwhelming, and it's such an honor to be receiving this medallion with two others from the class of 77. Oh, no, see, I keep changing it. From the decade of the 70s. And Stu, you know, Barb and Tom and I were here together, but we didn't really know each other. And it was through our volunteer efforts here that we got to know each other and become friends. So I'm very grateful for that. I really could get a swell head. I think we all could. But my grandson, Mason, who's here somewhere, would immediately put me in my place. A couple weeks ago, when I was still using a cane from my hip replacement, he goes, "Grammy, you're falling apart." Okay. William & Mary has really given me so much, from a special education that led to a successful career, to meeting my late husband my freshman year that resulted in two wonderful daughters that I'm so proud of. And then when he passed away, it was my William & Mary family who gathered around me. I mean, what other university would the president call you to check and see how you're doing? And that happened to me. Then a few years later, it was my William & Mary family who insisted on vetting Charlie, who became my second husband, and needed their permission. And several of you who are in this room attended our wedding even. Unfortunately, I lost him to cancer, and y'all were there for me again. So let's fast forward to 2020, and a few of you in this room seated me next to Frank. And so, you know, what can I say? You know, and I have to add that my William & Mary daughter, I have one UVA daughter, one William & Mary daughter, she met her husband, and I gained a William & Mary extended family, and my plaque on the family courtyard doubled in size because he also had family members who were William & Mary. So I really feel like I hit a trifecta, and I want to thank each of you in this room for your support and love. William & Mary has brought us together, and the university is better for what each of you have done and what we have done together. You know, it reminds me of a song, and I don't sing, so don't worry, from the play Wicked. And I'm just going to read a few of the lines because it's what's in my heart. I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and we help them in return. But I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, I've been changed for good. Thank you.
I would describe Barbara as energetic, passionate, always prepared, willing to work as hard or harder than the next person because she feels like she owes that to whatever she does.
Barb began with Thomasville in the mid-1980s. Her goal was to cover primarily Europe and the Middle East for various Department of Defense U.S. installations. At that time, their annual revenues were about $100,000. Under Barb's management over about a 10-year period, and she raised the annual revenue flow to between $3 and $5 million per annum. So in many ways, I think the growth of that business reflects Barb's dedication and significant management and leadership skills to both manage internally and externally to deliver successfully under what the contracts required.
When she decided a few years ago to throw her hat in the ring for city council, my first question to her was, "Are you crazy?" But I realized, being involved in the community in the city of Williamsburg as an elected official is just an extension of who she is.
Barbara's contributed to the Williamsburg community in a wide variety of ways. She's been involved in the nonprofit sector, helping organizations raise money to do their good work. She's been involved in a variety of boards and commissions throughout the city, working on everything from public art to affordable housing to business investment to community recognition events. And throughout, and she's been tireless, she's been energetic, but she does it because she wants to help people.
I think Barb has a very deep love for William and Mary and what it has provided for her in terms of friends and experiences. And I think she is truly an individual who is thrilled to give back through any number of ways. And I think she has so enjoyed the connections she has made with both students and fellow alumni. She has been active on our class gift committees over the years. She's been active with the annual giving board and was instrumental in networking and helping support outreach during the For the Bold campaign.
She's one of Tribe Athletics' biggest cheerleaders, biggest supporters. If you've ever been with her at a football game or basketball game, you know what I'm talking about. Barb is advancement's secret weapon, and when it comes to the Lord Bodtod affair, for years she's been able to make sure people give generously, give beyond what they expected, and done that quite successfully. I think that we've seen when Barb's been involved, giving for Lord Bodtod has been through the roof.
Barbara believes in the William and Mary experience. She believes in the value of a liberal arts education. She understands the importance of preparing the next generation to make a difference in this world. And she wants to help the university do the best possible job that it can do.
Barb has often stated and been quoted for saying, "It is critical to do what's important. It is not critical to be important." And I think that mantra has very much defines how she conducts herself in all business dealings.
Barbara, you may have won the alumni medallion, but I believe it's all of us who are the real winners because we have benefited so greatly from knowing you and from all that you have done to make our lives richer and to make our community better. And I simply cannot thank you enough.
Barb, congratulations. You've made a difference in the lives of so many people, mine included. Your legacy will always be that you've brought people together and you've made William and Mary a stronger community. I'm so proud of you.
It is a pleasure and an honor to congratulate you on being one of the 2023 Alumni Medallion recipients. May you enjoy and relish every moment of the celebratory weekend. Congratulations.
Honored guests, please welcome 2023 Alumni Medallion recipient Barbara Ramsey, class of 1975.
Boy, these lights are a little bright. So good morning, Chancellor Gates, President Rowe, esteemed guest, fellow Alumni Medallion awardees. 3 of us are from Williamsburg this year, and all the familiar faces in the audience. I'd like to thank the Alumni Association for honoring me with this medallion, Lynn Dillon for nominating me, and those who supported my nomination. I'd also like to thank my bedrock of support, my family, close friends, and especially my partner, Bruce. We each have our own story on the impact of William and Mary. how it prepares us for a career either directly from our major or through a strong liberal arts foundation to segue into another, as it did for me. However, the gift that keeps on giving is the relationships whose breadth and depth extend far beyond 4 years on campus. In fact, a 2022 alumnus observed a difference among William & Mary alumni and those he's encountering in grad school. The latter may wave acknowledgement across the street or shout out, "What job did you get?" But a William & Mary alum will walk across the street and ask, "How are you doing? Where did you live? What did your major in? And which deli do you prefer, Paul's or the college?" Nowhere was this more evident than when Bruce and I were in an Italian Cinque Terre village in 2017, and I hear "Barb" across the courtyard. It's Maddie Torgerson, a student member of the Lord Botetourt Fair Committee who's studying there with fellow athletes. I think the picture is still on Facebook Archive somewhere. Just this winter, I asked one from that group to donate an original painting for this year's auction, and she readily agreed. Check out Kaylee Helms on the website. Reflecting upon this alumni medallion, I realize how my life has been significantly enriched from alumni who encourage participation and governing roles. From two couples who welcomed me at a Tuggy Young picnic, to the class of 75 staying connected, to the alumni chapter board, to the annual giving board, to co-chairing the Lord Botetourt Affair, to the athletic foundation board, all since moving back to Williamsburg 14 years ago. Alumni instrumental in two transformative undertakings bring me full circle. When I moved from Williamsburg to Germany as my company's sole European representative in 1986, I knew 4 people, my college roommates and their alum husbands. Their assistance and support were invaluable to my success. 30 years later, I ran for Williamsburg City Council, and Will Payne's assistance with my campaign and Paul Freiling as a mentor were also invaluable. Thank you for your kind remarks in the video. I appreciate them. Not only are alumni connections omnipresent in my story, but show it's never too late to get involved, to serve, and to lead. Being on City Council has been my most rewarding role. I'm at the intersection of 3 extraordinary institutions with exceptional leaders, collaborating and working in harmony. The Bray School relocation yesterday is just one example. Williamsburg may be viewed as a sleepy town where little happens, but au contraire, it's like Doctor Who, where one enters a phone booth and this vast world awaits. We are a community without peer that punches way above our weight, and we will be the place to be in 2026 when we celebrate the 250th anniversary of our country's founding. So after a career traveling the world, I returned to Williamsburg and get involved with William & Mary for the students, to show by example that the skills learned here are transferable to a variety of careers and that the relationships developed here are lifelong. I also encourage them to take advantage of this unique triumvirate, which is evolving to excel. Thank you very much.
I'd need 2 words to describe Stu. I'd say Renaissance man. Stu brings it all. He's been an extraordinary scholar, has actually done groundbreaking stem cell cancer research. He's a jazz musician. He's an accomplished record-breaking athlete. He was an extraordinary swimmer at William & Mary, and he's a lifelong learner.
Stuart's work was about some of the fundamental mechanisms of how the immune system recognizes foreign invaders. For 100 years, people believed that there were receptors on the cell surface that would grab a hold of foreign proteins, foreign bacteria, viruses, but nobody knew what they were. And it was the famous paper by Cell and Gel in 1965 that said they're actually antibodies on the surface of the cells. And this was a tremendous discovery at the time. And it opened the door for the discovery of monoclonal antibodies. Some of the great immunotherapies now for cancer are based on monoclonal antibodies that target the tumor and help the tumor be killed by the body's immune system.
Stu was one of a handful of alums who very early on realized the importance of both engagement and philanthropy and how they came together. The easy part of philanthropy is the financial part, making a donation. Anybody can write a check. That's easy, it takes seconds. The hard thing is to give your time. What Stu has shown is that with focused engagement, you can have a huge impact.
Stu has been incredibly generous with William & Mary and is just a model philanthropist. He established an endowment that encourages and supports William & Mary students going to Latvia and the Baltic states, and also to bring students from that region to William & Mary. I think Stu's legacy will be leaving William & Mary stronger. It'll be stronger because of the numbers of people he's helped connect to it. It'll be stronger because of his generosity, the scholarships that he's endowed and supported. And it'll be stronger because he's modeling how to be an exemplary alumnus and an exemplary agent of change.
You know, there's this quote, I dreamed of a life of joy. I awoke to a life of service, and I found that a life of service was a life of joy. And I think Stu has served his scientific community, he's served the medical community, the education community. He's given a lifetime of service to the community in many, many ways. And I think he's quite worthy of this award.
Stu, congratulations on being awarded the Alumni Medallion. Your selfless and tireless efforts to support William & Mary and your local communities have made a huge impact, both in Williamsburg and around the country. You are so deserving of this. Congratulations.
Stu, this is Scott in New Zealand, and I'd like to offer you my hearty congratulations on this prestigious award. I wish I was there, except it's summer and I've got to go fishing. Ciao.
Stu, I'm honored to have this opportunity to congratulate you on receiving the prestigious Alumni Medallion. I want to also thank you for all you've done to enrich my relationship with William & Mary and connect me to so many extraordinary alumni and friends. A heartfelt thanks, and as we would say on our Cuba trip, mil gracias, querido amigo.
Honored guests, please welcome 2023 Alumni Medallion recipient Stuart Sell, class of 1956.
When Pat and I first came to homecoming in the 60s and 70s, the alumni medallions were awarded at the homecoming dinner. I remember reading the resumes and being impressed at how productive and accomplished the awardees were. I am humbled and honored to be in this company. My first contact with William & Mary was in 1943. Our family moved on from Pittsburgh to Norfolk, where my father was stationed at the Navy base. And we visited the colleges several times, and obviously I was impressed. While in Norfolk, I attended Jeb Stuart Grade School. This was scary, but also a rewarding experience. Shortly after I got there, I was in the hall, and some of my classmates were pointing at me and saying, "Look, "There's a Yankee. He's a Yankee." I didn't know what they were talking about. I said, no, I'm not a Yankee. I'm a pirate. Getting to William & Mary was another experience. I graduated from high school in mid-year in 1953 in January. I had been all set to go to an Ivy League school. However, I was informed that the school was not going to have a mid-year admission. They had them because of Korean War veterans returning, but now there weren't enough to maintain the policy. They said I could wait until September, but what was I going to do for 8 months? So, what to do? I fired off a few applications locally and then thought, why not William & Mary? So very lately, I sent off an application to William & Mary and didn't hear much from them. Then about 10 days before the semester started, I received a letter of acceptance from William & Mary. And I said, this is an omen. I'm going to William & Mary. My parents and I packed up the car and drove down and found our dorm room, and I was ready to go. The next morning, I went out to try to find my class, but there were no names on the buildings, and I didn't know which was which. Finally, I asked somebody who was coming by, and I said, where is Washington Hall? He said, you're standing in front of it. I still have nightmares where I can't find my classroom. Well, what was good about William & Mary? Well, the first thing was that it was co-ed. William & Mary women are the greatest, I should know, because there are 5 in the family. And of course, the Ivy League at that time was not. I'm glad I went to a co-ed school. In addition, William & Mary had very enlightened social policies. As a pledge in the fraternity, I actually served as a bartender, serving mixed drinks to the brothers, Tom Collins, Manhattan. Also, they had peer chaperonage, which means if there were 3 couples at the lodge, you could have a party without a problem. This enlightened social policy was really not what I expected, but it worked very well. However, it was too good to be true. That summer, the new president, Alvin Duke Chandler, decided to tighten up the policy. No more hard liquor, only wine and beer. Well, the students weren't very happy about this, but okay, we'll go along with it. Then, the next summer, no more wine or beer, only 3.2 beer. Well, the brothers were back to alcohol again. And I said, what this showed me was that if you treat the students like adults, they tend to behave like adults. But if you treat them like children, they tend to behave like children. I arrived at William & Mary in the middle of swimming season, and there was a new coach, Dudley Jensen, who was actually a gymnast. The team was in kind of a chaotic position, and I'm not even sure it was officially a team. But we had a few meets and got things started. When I came back the next year, we had picked up a handful of very good freshmen and had a much better team. But we were lacking upperclassmen. And actually, as a sophomore, I was named captain of the swimming team. And it turned out that I was captain of the swimming team for 3 years. I don't know of anybody else who's been captain of a college team for 3 years. In any case, by the time I left, after 4 years, we had a pretty good team, and Dudley was now an accomplished swimming coach. In my sophomore year, in the fall, one of my fraternity brothers showed up at my room and said, Professor Charles Varner of the music department is starting a William & Mary swing band, and he needs saxophone players. Well, it turned out I was able to play the saxophone and had played at several fraternity parties. So I went over and auditioned for the William & Mary band, and lo and behold, I won the pot and became the lead alto player. We really had a great time with the band, and what band requires is a good soloist, and we had a great one in Hal Posey, who was a trumpet. In any case, we played for some dances and some parties, and were doing very well, saving the college some money, when all of a sudden it stopped. I was never sure why it stopped, but I was told it was because we were taking jobs away from the musician union members. In any case, I learned how a big band works. And this put me in great state for later on, maybe even 20 years later in San Diego, at the medical school, they wanted to have a faculty band. So I was prepared to go, and I went down and bought some arrangements and got the band started. It became known as the Biorhythm. Next, and I went to Houston, and was able to sort of revitalize a band called the Jazzmetics, which is a derivative from Denton Cooley's Heartbreak Beats. Then I went to Albany and started the Swing Docs, which really is a good band. And you can look this up, just go to Google Swing Docs. Shortly after going to medical school, I was bitten by the research bug. Fortunately, I was able to do research in a very good department as a student at the medical school. There's nothing more rewarding than doing a new experiment, shows some new principle or idea that contributes to understanding of science or medicine. For example, in the 60s, I was in the United States Public Health Service and assigned to the germ-free laboratory at the National Institutes of Health. Germ-free animals do not have bacteria or viruses, but survive fairly well. About the time that I joined the laboratory, there was a new publication on something called the neonatal thymectomy wasting syndrome. What this was, if the thymus was removed from newborn conventional mice, they would fail to gain weight and die. The question was why? What was the thymus needed for? Was it needed to defend against the bacteria and viruses? If this was the case, then neonatal thymectomy in germ-free mice should not result in wasting. And we did those experiments, and it did not. This showed that the thymus was responsible for something very important, defending against bacteria and viruses. Since the thymus mainly produced cells, this became known as thymus-derived cells, or T cells for short. After college, Pat and I were active in setting up alumni chapters, particularly in Pittsburgh and San Diego. This allowed us to not only meet alumni we wouldn't have known, but to contact the students that were going to come to William & Mary. For instance, one of the people we met was Walt Zabel in San Diego. I can't help but being a name dropper here. In any case, one of the best events was the reception we had for the newly accepted students in late summer before they went to college. Here we could hear about what the perceptions of the college was by the incoming students and also exchange our ideas with them. So in closing, I'd like to thank all of those who contributed to my application, including Anne Marie Stock, Dan Frezza, Dave Lucas, Jeannie Takazian, Scott Linthicum, Pat Sell, and of course my daughter Sherry Phillips, whose perseverance and patience was largely responsible for the success of this application. Finally, they came from far and near. Would the members of the Sell family please stand up? There are actually 8 graduates of the College of William & Mary in this group. Thank you very much. I am very happy to be here.
You know, Tom is a very affable fellow, great sense of humor, and he is an extremely ethical person who thinks a lot about doing the right things for the right reasons.
Tom strikes me as sort of 3 things: an intelligent, impassioned impactor.
I think that, like many of us, William & Mary was an incredibly formative, impactful, and elevating experience, and so he feels a responsibility to pay it forward.
He has been so involved in so many ways. I mean, he served on the Board of Visitors. He was asked to chair the search for president. They brought Catherine Rowe here, and he's been immensely involved in the Mason School. There are a lot of folks who are engaged alumni, but there are very, very few who have been in a position to have the impact, make the decisions, and set a course and trajectory and pursue it.
Tom was on the Board of Visitors at a really critical time, and he brought an incisive, deeply informed perspective to all the conversations we had around particularly the William & Mary Promise. He also led a strategic planning effort for the athletics department that really provided a foundation for how we think about excellence in athletics. And he played a central role in closing out the For the Bowl campaign. I mean, really, he was indispensable.
He was CEO twice in the biopharma industry. I mean, it's hard to think of an industry that has covered more ground, has been evolving more rapidly and more dynamic. That's pretty remarkable. I mean, he has done things professionally that have caused people to live longer and live better and be cured. And that's a pretty big accomplishment.
Tom's career is enviable, and every step along the way distinguished himself, while at the same time dedicating himself to a wide variety of civic responsibilities that have made an extraordinary impact on people's lives.
Underlying Tom Watkins is just an incredible heart, and I think Tom has always been someone who wants to try to make a difference for people and to have a real positive impact on people. And we've been very privileged at Lurie Children's for him to have that impact and help us in that stance as well. Tom has been involved with Lurie Children's Hospital formally on the board since 2014. When I stepped into my current role as president and CEO in December of 2019, was when Tom moved up from being the vice chair to the chair of what we call our Quality and Credentialing Committee. And the QNC committee, from my perspective, is one of the most important committees we have at the board level. It's really responsible for overseeing the quality of the care and the outcomes we deliver as a healthcare system to children. And in addition, the credentialing piece is really overseeing the physician workforce from a medical dental staff standpoint. And Tom, bringing his years of experience and his years of leadership professionally to that work in such an engaged way, really holds the institution accountable to ensuring we're delivering the very best outcomes for children.
He's led an extraordinary life. His achievements are remarkable by any measure. But I think that when it's all said and done, people will say that Tom was a wonderful human being.
Tom, wow. Heartfelt congratulations to you for receiving this most well-deserved recognition.
I hope you know that your example has inspired and guided so many of us, and we are grateful for you.
On behalf of myself personally, and importantly, the entire institution of Ann and Robert H. Lurie Children's Hospital, I want to extend our most sincerest congratulations to this incredibly deserving award. Well deserved, Tom.
Honored guests, please welcome 2023 Alumni Medallion recipient H. Thomas Watkins III, class of 1974.
Wow, that was something. It was spring break of 1968 when yours truly first set foot on this campus. I was a high school junior. Believe it or not, high school juniors did their college looking back in our day at that time. We didn't start in the third grade. But I had a long list of colleges. William and Mary was first, and I didn't need to go anywhere else because 15 minutes after I was here, I didn't tell anybody this, I decided this was the place I had to be a part of. When I went home to Cleveland to the high school public high school that I was a part of, I shared that news with my high school guidance counselor, who smiled politely and then said, "You better find a new first choice, pal. You are what we call an out-of-state student, and they don't like those at state." Now, I served on the Board of Visitors for 8 years and chaired the Finance Committee for 5, and I'm pretty sure out-of-state and like do go together. But I understood and valued the warning. Whether it was divine intervention or plain old luck, a few months later, on the Saturday of Labor Day weekend, a day that every year is by Virginia law the hottest and most humid of the year, our family car pulled into the parking lot of Yates Hall, not at 8 o'clock when the move-in starts, but at 7:45. I gathered up all of my worldly belongings, went to the 3rd floor to room 313 in the south wing, dumped it all in the bed, my definition of moving in, walked down the hall and met the only other new student in the area who said, "Hi, my name's Larry Pulley." I didn't realize at that time that my quality of my academic career and Larry Pulley's would go in somewhat different directions, but I am pleased that our friendship has extended for a good long time. Thank you very much, Larry. About 3 years, almost 4 years later, when our class was the first to have commencement in William and Mary Hall, as we called it then, I remember walking past Yates thinking, that was a pretty special place. Guess I won't be seeing it anymore. Not so fast. How would I know that 8 years later I'd be sitting in Phi Beta Kappa Hall watching my father get an honorary degree from William and Mary on Charter Day in 1982, having never attended a class or taken an exam. Or that 19 years after that, our daughter Catherine, our oldest, would be going through her move-in day at William and Mary. Or that 6 years later after that, son Hayes would be moving into, yes, Yates Hall, 3rd floor, south wing. As Hayes said, I'm so glad to have gone away to college only to know that you and Mom are coming to visit me every weekend because you're on so many boards here. The fact is, the simple truth is, there is no institution that has had a bigger impact on who I am and what I've become than William and Mary. And for that, I have my lovely wife, Wendy, wife of almost 44 years, to thank. Thank you. And our 3 children, Catherine and Hayes, are graduates, and our daughter Caroline, who's here with her husband Ben Mueller. Caroline is the graduate of another outstanding school in the area, Georgetown. And for both Wendy and Caroline, who are not alums, I have to tell you, all those William and Mary stories you've heard over the years, a few of them are actually true. But I want to talk about, just for accepting this award, I want to thank the Alumni Association most importantly. I want to tell you, it's not the last 50 years and the remembrances of what we all did when we were here that are important. It's the fact that this university is better, stronger, more relevant today than it was when any of us went here. And if we do our job as alums, it'll be making sure that another generation of alums stand in the places that the 4 of us are standing today to talk about how good the university is then. So thank you to President Rowe and to the great team that she is building to build William and Mary next. Thank you all very much.
please join me as we give another round of applause for all of our honorees and for our wonderful choir. We'd like to invite all of you to join us for a celebratory reception immediately following this ceremony in our beautiful Alumni House. We will be in the grand ballroom, Hunter Hall, to the left as you walk in. To close our ceremony, members of the William and Mary Choir will sing our alma mater, and everyone is welcome to join in. It is always so beautiful when we sing our alma mater together. Thank you again for being here today, and please enjoy the rest of your Charter Day weekend.
I